How much do we really know about the people we trust most on the mornings that matter most? A wedding morning should be filled with joy, laughter, and the quiet hum of anticipation, but what if beneath that surface lies a shadow so heavy it could crush the very foundation of trust? Imagine waking up with the thought that today your daughter will step into a new life, and yet, before the first vows are spoken, you are shoved into a trunk by someone you thought you could rely on. The slam of metal echoes like a verdict, the hinges creak shut, and suddenly the muffled sounds of wedding laughter outside feel impossibly distant. In that suffocating dark, the question lingers: how many times in our lives have we placed blind faith in others, only to discover that trust can turn into a trap? The driver, a figure meant to symbolize reliability, becomes instead the shadow of betrayal. His hands trembled as he pushed, his eyes darted away as if hiding something too dangerous to reveal. What if the betrayal isn't about malice, but about protecting something deeper, something hidden? The fear grows: is secrecy a shield, or is it a weapon? The trunk itself becomes more than steel and leather, it becomes a vault of secrets. Locked away, unseen, unheard, yet pulsing with the weight of truths too heavy to carry in the open. The air inside is stale, pressing against the chest, every breath a reminder of confinement. If the trunk could speak, what stories would it tell? Would it whisper of sacrifices made in the name of love, or scream of betrayals buried under the guise of protection? Weddings are not just ceremonies, they are crossroads. They are moments when generations collide, tradition meets modernity, secrecy meets confession, trust meets doubt. The parent, trapped in the trunk, is not just physically confined but emotionally torn. Should they break the hush and risk shattering the day, or should they remain quiet, preserving the illusion of harmony? The driver's silence is deafening. No explanation, no justification, just the act itself. Is he a villain, or a reluctant guardian of a truth too dangerous to reveal? The parent's inner voice echoes in the darkness: don't say a word. Trust me. But trust in what? In protection, in betrayal, in secrets too heavy to bear. And then, from inside the trunk, came a sound no parent should ever hear. Not laughter, not music, but a muffled cry, sharp, panicked, unmistakably human. A sound that didn't belong to a wedding morning. How fragile is the bond between parent and child when the day meant to celebrate love begins with fear. A wedding morning is supposed to be the culmination of years of guidance, sacrifice, and trust. Yet inside the trunk, every breath reminds the parent that trust can be shattered in an instant. The muffled cry heard moments ago lingers like a knife in the dark, forcing the question: how well do we truly know the choices our children make, and how much control do we really have when those choices collide with hidden dangers? The trunk rattled as footsteps stumbled past, each vibration a reminder that danger was inches away. A door slammed, voices rose in hurried tones, and one word slipped through the muffled air: a name. A name tied to the daughter's future, spoken with urgency, almost with terror. The cry outside was no longer abstract, it carried weight, a connection too close to ignore. The driver's trembling hands replay in memory. His whispered command: don't say a word. Trust me. Echoes like a curse. Trust him for what? To protect the daughter, to protect the family's reputation, or to protect himself from exposure? The muffled sounds of celebration outside, the clinking of glasses, the faint strains of music, contrast cruelly with the suffocating dark inside. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air pressing down, every breath a battle. Should they fight to escape, risking chaos and shame, or remain hidden, trusting that silence will somehow preserve the day? Then, footsteps rush past. A door slams. Voices murmur in hurried tones, one of them sharp, urgent, almost pleading. The parent strains to catch a word, and though muffled, it carries a name tied to the daughter's future. And then, through the suffocating dark, came a single word, whispered so close it felt inside the trunk itself. The word was her daughter's name, spoken with terror. The vows were supposed to be spoken under soft music and gentle smiles, yet inside the trunk the parent hears only fragments of voices, hurried, tense, and sharp. Each sound cuts through the stale air like a blade. The whispered word from before still echoes, a name tied to the daughter, spoken with terror. That single detail transforms the fear. This is no random act, it is connected to her, to the ceremony, to the promises about to be made. The parent's mind races. Weddings are meant to seal trust, but what if the vows themselves are shadowed by secrets? The muffled cry outside was not just panic, it carried urgency, desperation, as though someone was trying to stop something before it began. Through the layers of steel and silence, another sound emerges, the faint rhythm of footsteps pacing, restless, as if someone is torn between revealing the truth and keeping it buried. The driver's trembling hands replay in memory, his whispered command, "Don't say a word. Trust me." Now feels less like protection and more like a warning. Trust him for what? To shield the daughter from scandal, or to hide her involvement in something darker? The claustrophobic air presses harder, each breath shallow, each heartbeat louder. If the vows are spoken, will they bind love, or bind the family to a lie? Outside, the sounds of celebration clash with tension. Glasses clink, music swells, but beneath it all is a hurried murmur, a voice repeating the daughter's name. The tone is urgent, almost pleading, as though someone is trying to stop her from stepping forward. The trunk shudders again, as if someone leans against it, and then a whisper slips through, closer, sharper, undeniable. It is not just a name, it is a warning tied to that name. A phrase half heard, half muffled, but clear enough to chill the blood, "She doesn't know." The trunk is a prison of steel and stale air, pressing against the parent's chest with every shallow breath. Each vibration from footsteps outside rattles through the metal, each murmur of voices a reminder that danger is unfolding just beyond reach. The whispered phrase, "She doesn't know," still echoes, but now it is joined by something more tangible, the faint rustle of paper, the unmistakable crackle of a letter being handled. The parent freezes, straining to hear, and catches a fragment of speech, "She must never see this." The words slice through the dark, chilling in their clarity. The claustrophobia intensifies. The stale air thickens, every breath a battle, every heartbeat louder. Silence feels less like protection and more like complicity. Outside, celebration continues, music swells, laughter rises, but beneath it all is urgency. A voice repeats the daughter's name, sharper now, almost frantic. Another voice trembles, insisting the letter must remain hidden. The parent realizes the driver's betrayal is not random, it is part of a plan to keep the daughter blind to a truth tied to her marriage. The trunk shudders as someone leans against it, pressing down, sealing the parent inside. For a moment, hope flickers, perhaps rescue, but it vanishes as quickly as it came. The voices outside grow quieter, more deliberate, as if decisions are being made in whispers. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the faint tearing of paper, the ripping of a letter meant to vanish forever. The driver's silence is no longer just betrayal, it is strategy. The trunk vibrates as footsteps circle, deliberate and heavy, each thud a reminder that danger is immediate. The parent presses against the steel, desperate to catch every sound. Then, through the muffled air, comes a voice, low and urgent, "The letter, it's about him." The words slice through the dark. At last, a fragment of truth surfaces, the secret is tied not to the daughter, but to the man she is about to marry. The stale air thickens, pressing against the chest, each breath shallow. The parent's mind races, what could a letter reveal that would make silence so desperate, betrayal so necessary? The claustrophobia intensifies, not just from confinement but from the realization that the wedding vows may be spoken over a lie. Outside, celebration continues, music swells, laughter rises, but beneath it all is urgency. A voice insists, "She must never see it." Another voice trembles, "If she does, the vows will mean nothing." The parent realizes the driver's betrayal is not random, it is part of a plan to keep the daughter blind to a truth that could shatter her marriage before it begins. The trunk rattles as someone leans against it, vibrations jolting through the parent's body. For a moment, hope flickers, perhaps rescue, but it vanishes as quickly as it came. The voices outside grow quieter, more deliberate, as if decisions are being made in whispers. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the tearing of paper, the ripping of a letter meant to vanish forever. The daughter's wedding morning is not just shadowed by secrecy, it is bound to a hidden truth so dangerous that even its destruction is considered safer than discovery. The parent, trapped in silence, knows the driver is not simply complicit, he is the keeper of a secret that could decide whether the vows spoken today are built on love or on lies. The ceremony begins. Music swells, voices rise, and the parent trapped inside the trunk hears the rhythm of vows being prepared. Each note of celebration feels cruelly distant, muffled by steel and secrecy. The whispered fragments from before, "She doesn't know," the letter, "It's about him," pound against the parent's mind. The truth is no longer abstract, it is tied directly to the man standing at the altar. The trunk shudders as footsteps pass, slower now, deliberate, as though every movement outside carries the weight of decision. The parent presses against the steel, desperate to break free, but the stale air holds them captive. Claustrophobia tightens its grip, every breath shallow, every heartbeat louder. The silence inside is unbearable, yet the voices outside are worse, urgent, trembling, insistent. Through the muffled air comes a phrase, sharp and chilling, "If she speaks the vows, it's too late." The words slice through the dark, leaving no room for doubt. The marriage is not just a union of love, it is a trap, sealed by secrecy, bound by lies. The music swells again, laughter rises, and the parent realizes the moment is slipping away. The vows are seconds from being spoken, and with them, the daughter's future may be sealed forever. The trunk rattles once more, as if someone hesitates at its edge, torn between silence and revelation. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the officiant's voice, clear and steady, beginning the words that will bind the daughter to a man whose truth has just been torn to shreds. The vows begin. The officiant's voice carries steady and clear, each word drifting into the air like a chain meant to bind. Inside the trunk, the parent hears fragments of the ceremony, muffled but unmistakable. The daughter's name is spoken, her voice trembling as she repeats the words expected of her. Yet every syllable feels poisoned by the secret pressing against the steel walls. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air burning with urgency. The whispered warnings echo, "She doesn't know," the letter, "It's about him." Each phrase collides with the sound of vows, twisting joy into dread. The trunk rattles as someone shifts nearby, hesitant, torn between silence and revelation. The officiant asks the question that seals futures, "Do you take this man?" The words hang heavy, and through the muffled air comes a sound that chills the blood, a sharp intake of breath, not from the bride, but from someone standing close. A gasp of fear, quickly stifled, as though the truth is clawing to escape. The parent presses harder against the steel, desperate to break free, but the trunk holds firm. Outside, the daughter's voice rises, fragile yet determined, ready to speak the vow that will bind her. And then, cutting through the music and the murmurs, comes a single word, shouted in urgency, breaking the rhythm of the ceremony, "Stop." The silence that follows is heavier than the trunk itself. The word, "Stop," hangs in the air, cutting through music and vows like a blade. The ceremony freezes. Guests shift uneasily, whispers ripple across the room, and the daughter's voice falters mid-sentence. Inside the trunk, the parent strains to hear, every nerve alive, every heartbeat pounding against the steel. The silence that follows is unbearable. Then, a voice rises, shaken, urgent, trembling with fear, "She doesn't know the truth." The words pierce the celebration, shattering the illusion of harmony. Gasps echo, chairs scrape, and the officiant's voice falters, caught between duty and chaos. The parent presses harder against the trunk, desperate to break free, but the confinement holds. Outside, the daughter's name is repeated, louder now, almost pleading. Another voice counters, sharp and commanding, enough. Say nothing. The clash of tones fills the air, fear against control, revelation against silence. The music has stopped. The laughter has vanished. What remains is tension so thick it feels like the air itself has turned to stone. And then, through the muffled dark, comes the sound that chills the blood, the daughter's voice, fragile but steady, asking the question no one wanted spoken, "What don't I know?" The daughter's question hangs in the air, sharp and trembling, "What don't I know?" The silence that follows is suffocating, heavier than the trunk itself. Guests shift uneasily, whispers ripple, and the officiant lowers his gaze, caught between ceremony and chaos. Inside the trunk, the parent feels every vibration of the room, each murmur pressing against the steel like a drumbeat of dread. A voice rises, hesitant but firm, "It's about him." The words slice through the hush, pointing directly at the groom. Gasps echo, chairs scrape, and the daughter's breath catches audibly. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air burning with urgency. The secret is no longer abstract, it has a target, a name, a face standing at the altar. The groom's voice breaks the tension, sharp and defensive, "Enough. This is madness." His tone trembles, not with anger but with fear. The parent strains to hear, every nerve alive, every heartbeat pounding. Another voice counters, desperate, "She deserves to know before she speaks the vow." The ceremony teeters on the edge of collapse. Music has stopped, laughter has vanished, and what remains is a storm of voices, pleading, commanding, unraveling. The daughter's voice rises again, fragile but steady, demanding, "Tell me. Tell me now." And then, through the muffled air, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the sudden crack of something heavy striking the floor, followed by a gasp that turns into a scream. The scream rips through the ceremony, shattering the fragile silence. Guests rise from their seats, voices collide in confusion, and the officiant's words dissolve into chaos. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the vibrations of panic ripple through the steel, each thud of footsteps pounding like a drumbeat of dread. The daughter's voice cuts through the noise, trembling but insistent, "Tell me what's happening." Her demand pierces the air, forcing the secret closer to the surface. The groom's voice follows, sharp and defensive, "It's nothing. Sit down." But the tremor in his tone betrays him. The parent presses harder against the trunk, desperate to break free, but the stale air holds them captive. Outside, voices clash, pleading, commanding, unraveling. One rises above the rest, urgent and unyielding, "She has the right to know." The ceremony teeters on collapse. Music has stopped, laughter has vanished, and the weight of truth presses against every corner of the room. The daughter's voice rises again, stronger now, demanding, "What's in the letter?" And then, through the muffled air, comes the sound that freezes the blood, the groom's voice, low and broken, confessing a single phrase that changes everything, "It's about me." The words, "It's about me," hang in the air, heavy and unshakable. The ceremony collapses into silence, every guest frozen, every breath caught. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the weight of confession pressing through the steel, each vibration carrying the truth closer. The daughter's voice trembles, fragile yet unyielding, "What did you do?" Her question slices through the hush, demanding revelation. The groom's reply falters, his tone breaking under the strain, "There are things you don't know, things I kept hidden." Whispers ripple across the room, gasps echo, and the officiant lowers his gaze, powerless to continue. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air burning with urgency. The letter, torn and destroyed, was meant to bury this truth forever. Yet now, the secret claws its way into the open. The groom's voice rises again, desperate, pleading, "I did it to protect you." But the words ring hollow, trembling with fear. The daughter's voice sharpens, cutting through his defense, protect me from what? The silence that follows is unbearable. And then, through the muffled air, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the groom's broken whisper, confessing a single phrase that shatters the day, "From the man I used to be." The words, "from the man I used to be," linger like smoke, curling through the silence. Guests stare, frozen, their faces pale with shock. The officiant lowers his book, powerless to continue. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the confession reverberate through the steel, each syllable pressing against their chest like a weight too heavy to bear. The daughter's voice trembles, fragile yet unrelenting. "What did you do?" Her demand slices through the hush, forcing the groom to confront the past he tried to bury. His reply falters, broken and uneven. "There were choices, mistakes, things I swore would never touch you." Whispers ripple across the room, gasps echo, and the tension thickens. The parent's breath grows shallow, the stale air burning with urgency. The torn letter was meant to erase this truth, but now the fragments of his past claw their way into the open. The groom's voice rises again, desperate, pleading, "I changed. I'm not that man anymore." But the words tremble, hollow against the weight of silence. The daughter's voice sharpens, cutting through his defense. "Then why hide it? Why lock it away?" The silence that follows is unbearable. And then, through the muffled dark, comes a sound that freezes the blood, the sudden scrape of a chair, the heavy thud of footsteps approaching the altar, and a voice, steady and cold, declaring, "Because I know exactly who he was." The voice that declared, "I know exactly who he was," steps forward, steady and cold. The guests turn, whispers ripple, and the daughter's eyes widen, searching for answers. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the vibrations of the room shift, the weight of revelation pressing closer. The groom stiffens, his voice sharp, defensive. "Enough. Sit down." But the tremor in his tone betrays him. The accuser does not falter. "You can tear letters, you can silence drivers, but you cannot erase the past." The words slice through the hush, heavy with accusation. The daughter's voice trembles, fragile yet unyielding. "Tell me. Tell me now." Her demand pierces the silence, forcing the truth into the open. The accuser steps closer to the altar, eyes locked on the groom. "The man you are marrying is not who you think. He carries a past that was meant to stay buried." Gasps echo, chairs scrape, and the officiant lowers his gaze, powerless to continue. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air burning with urgency. The ceremony teeters on collapse, every heartbeat inside the trunk pounding against the steel. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes the detail that freezes the blood, the accuser's voice, steady and unrelenting, declaring, "He was the reason another family was destroyed." The words, "He was the reason another family was destroyed," hang in the air, heavy and unshakable. Gasps ripple through the guests, chairs scrape against the floor, and the officiant lowers his gaze, powerless to continue. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the confession reverberate through the steel, each syllable pressing against their chest like a weight too heavy to bear. The daughter's voice trembles, fragile yet unyielding. "What family? What happened?" Her demand slices through the hush, forcing the accuser to step closer, eyes locked on the groom. Years ago, his choices shattered lives. Lies, betrayal, and silence buried the truth, but the scars remain. The groom stiffens, his voice sharp, desperate. "Enough. Those were mistakes. They have nothing to do with today." But the tremor in his tone betrays him. The guests murmur, whispers rising like a tide, suspicion thickening the air. The parent's breath grows shallow, the stale air burning with urgency. The torn letter was meant to erase this truth, but now fragments of the past claw their way into the open. The daughter's voice sharpens, cutting through the chaos. "Tell me exactly what he did." The silence that follows is unbearable. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes the detail that freezes the blood, the accuser's voice, steady and unrelenting, declaring, "He was the man who broke another vow." The accusation hangs heavy, the air thick with disbelief. Guests murmur, their voices rising like a tide, suspicion spreading across the room. The daughter's face pales, her eyes locked on the groom, demanding clarity. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the vibrations of chaos ripple through the steel, each sound pressing closer, each heartbeat pounding harder. The accuser steps forward, their voice steady, unrelenting. You don't have to take my word. There is proof. Gasps ripple through the crowd as a folded paper is raised, edges frayed, a fragment spared from destruction. The torn letter, incomplete but undeniable, trembles in the accuser's hand. The groom stiffens, his voice sharp, desperate. That's nothing. Lies twisted into words. But the tremor betrays him. The daughter's voice cuts through his defense, fragile yet fierce. Show me. The officiant lowers his gaze, powerless to continue. Guests lean forward, whispers colliding, the ceremony dissolving into chaos. The parent's breath grows shallow, the stale air burning with urgency. The letter fragment is unfolded, its words revealed in jagged lines, enough to pierce the silence. The vow he broke, the family left in ruin. The daughter's voice trembles, breaking under the weight of revelation. Is this true? And then, through the suffocating dark, comes the sound that freezes the blood, the groom's voice, low and broken, whispering, yes. The groom's broken whisper, yes, hangs in the air, heavy and undeniable. The ceremony dissolves into chaos. Guests rise from their seats, voices collide in confusion, and the officiant lowers his book, powerless to continue. Inside the trunk, the parent feels the vibrations of panic ripple through the steel, each thud of footsteps pounding like a drumbeat of dread. The daughter's voice trembles, fragile yet fierce. You lied to me. Her words slice through the noise, forcing the groom to face the truth he tried to bury. His reply falters, desperate, I did it to protect you. But the tremor in his tone betrays him. The accuser steps closer, their voice steady, unrelenting. Protect her? You destroyed another family. And now you would bind her to the same fate. Gasps ripple, whispers rise, suspicion thickens the air. The parent's chest tightens, the stale air burning with urgency. The confinement becomes unbearable, they press violently against the steel, every muscle straining, every heartbeat louder. Outside, the daughter's voice sharpens, cutting through the chaos. Open the trunk. Show me what you're hiding. The command freezes the room. Footsteps shift, hesitant, torn between obedience and fear. And then, through the suffocating dark, comes the sound that chills the blood, the scrape of a key against metal, the slow turn of a lock, and the creak of hinges beginning to open. The lock turns, the hinges creak, and light slices into the suffocating dark. The trunk opens. The parent is pulled into the chaos, gasping for air, their sudden presence shocking the guests into silence. All eyes turn, the ceremony frozen, the daughter's face pale with disbelief. The groom stiffens, his voice sharp, desperate. This wasn't supposed to happen. But the tremor betrays him. The accuser steps closer, steady and unrelenting. Now she sees the truth you tried to bury. The parent steadies themselves, breath ragged, eyes locked on the daughter. Her voice trembles, fragile yet fierce. Tell me. Tell me everything. The weight of expectation presses down, forcing the parent to speak. The groom lunges forward, his voice breaking, pleading, don't. Please. If you love her, stay silent. His words hang heavy, trembling with fear, desperate to keep the past buried. The silence that follows is unbearable. And then, through the charged air, comes the parent's voice, low and steady, declaring, she deserves the truth. The parent's words, she deserves the truth, hang in the air, heavy and unshakable. The ceremony is no longer a celebration but a battlefield of revelation. Guests stand frozen, whispers colliding, the officiant powerless to continue. The daughter's eyes lock on the groom, her voice trembling yet fierce. Tell me. Tell me everything. The groom's shoulders sag, his voice breaking under the weight of confession. I was not the man you thought. I broke vows before. I destroyed a family. I swore it would never touch you. His words tremble, hollow against the silence. The accuser steps closer, steady and cold, and yet you tried to bind her to the same fate. You tore the letter, silenced the driver, locked away the parent. But truth cannot be buried forever. Gasps ripple, suspicion thickens, the room teeters on collapse. The parent steadies themselves, breath ragged, eyes locked on the daughter. Their voice rises, low and steady. He hid the letter because it revealed the man he was. He wanted you blind to the truth. But you must choose with your eyes open. The daughter's voice trembles, breaking under the weight of revelation. You lied to me. You broke vows before. How can I trust the vows you speak today? The silence that follows is unbearable. And then, through the charged air, comes the decision that freezes the blood, the daughter's voice, fragile yet resolute, declaring, I will not bind myself to a lie. The ceremony ends not with vows, but with truth exposed, love shattered, and a choice that changes everything.